Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Rochelle and Faye. Hello, Kathy. Yes. Hi, Friendly Paws. Good morning again. Seeing of you, many of you, we were live about 24 hours ago. You know, I typically go live in a different time than this, and also doing this here and now. So, maybe Friendly Paws will go to sleep. And regardless, just so everybody knows, I do have replays available on my YouTube channel. Subscribe there. And if you do fall asleep or have to go or can't catch the whole thing or want to revisit the replays, I have a playlist. I have 3 playlists on there with my Insight Timer live streams. So, hi, Cream. Yeah. And also the live from last night, well, my last night is already up on YouTube, which was the Reiki deep dive. So if you want to visit or revisit that, please do so. Please follow me here. Give a donation if you would like. And you can find out more about me in the Insight Timer, in my teacher profile, all over the internet. I reside. Hi, Lori. Welcome. Glad to have you. And if anybody else is new, please say hello if you would like. Yeah, I'm a spiritual life coach, Reiki master teacher, intuitive. You can check out my meditations here in the app. Join my group, Natalie's Healing Circle. I've got a couple premium tracks. One that is brand new-ish called Total Surrender. And I referenced it last night. I have 2 ancestral clearing prayers, one free, one in premium. The Master Prayer and the Comprehensive Abundance Prayer. So check those out. Hi, Dawn. Welcome, welcome. And I am launching my group Money Mindset program June 1st, so I'm announcing that, and you will be hearing more announcements of that as we get closer to June 1st. So if you are sick and tired of being broke and in lack and scarcity and fear around money, this is for you. So you can reach out to me about the details of the program. It's also a web page on my website. You can find out more. So, all that good stuff. Hi, Kay. Nice to see many of you here that were here yesterday. So, what we will be doing today is a continuation of our series on the book called There's Nothing Wrong with You, Going Beyond Self-Hate by Cheri Huber. We also do another live stream book series on Conversations with God, and last time I followed my intuitive guidance to kind of go out of routine and read from a chapter of the book that's really calling to me, and it was amazing and it was great. And people gave good feedback that they actually liked me reading the book, because normally we listen to the audio. And so because of that good feedback, I'm also going to be reading from the book There's Nothing Wrong with You today. So if you're new, this won't make a difference, but if you've been joining in, the format will just be slightly different. I did find the exact place where we left off last time in the actual PDF of the book, so we'll just continue on. If you do want a free PDF copy of the book There's Nothing Wrong with You, send me a private message and I will get it to you. Not right now, but for next time. So reach out to me and you can receive that as well. And also, if you do want the audio link, I can send that as well. So that is a bit about all of that. I know Lori said they were new. Is anybody else not know anything about this book, or is it your first time hearing about it? Because otherwise I feel like we can just jump in. So I will say that, welcome Leela. This book is in a format of, it's some conversation, there's some illustration. So if there's an illustration, I might show it to you from my phone. And also parts in the book, it's like a back and forth conversation between guide and student. So the guide would be the leader or the coach or the mentor or the teacher, which is the author of the book. And then the student would be the student answering, just to not confuse anybody with how that might sound. So, and if Leela, Lori are new, and maybe others as well, this book talks about, and it's okay if you're just joining and we're in the middle of the book, it doesn't matter. Just trust you're finding it at the perfect time to hear whatever the messages are. And the book starts out with saying, okay, there's this idea that we've got this ego structure that was created in childhood due to our programming, and basically we were programmed that there was something wrong with us, in a very simple nutshell. And so basically it's the journey of unlearning that very core limiting belief. And for me personally, that really hits home, which is why I share it, which is why I share everything, because it's, important to me and has impacted me, and I relate and resonate. So this book's been really important for me to help first notice and be aware that there is a frame and a pattern of thinking that there's something wrong with me. I didn't know it was there. I mean, it was so deep. So I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but that was my experience. So then now, once I've found and been able to see this, then I can be the observer and the witness of it, not be totally identified with it, and then also have an invitation to bring self-compassion, love, and mindfulness to that moment, to break that pattern that's so damaging. So the book has Buddhist and kind of like a Buddhist flavor, and also it's accessible for, it's very just general, easy to access information. So anybody have any questions or comments before we dive in? And please, if you do have insights or questions, please share them as you come up with them in the chat. I will do my best to get to them depending on how things are flowing. I've also, as I always do, activated Reiki before the session, into the session. So if you care to receive that, just be open to receive. Also, I'm also going live the next 2 days and beyond. Tomorrow, whenever that is for you, or maybe morning or evening, I'm going to be doing ancestral clearing, which is a really powerful process. So check that out on my teacher profile page, RSVP to that, join in, and I'm going to be doing our Saturday Night Live weekly live stream series, which is always fun and powerful. We do cards, we do Reiki, we do clearing there as well. So if you do have the book already of There's Nothing Wrong with You, so on the actual, because with PDFs, it'll have like a page, but that's not the page, right? So like the actual page that we're on is 151. And again, if you are following, great. If not, fine. You can just receive and listen. But for those who want to. And so I just free flow with this, where I stop, we discuss, etc. So, and again, jump in if you have questions or comments. So, it's okay to feel afraid. Student, I found it very helpful in meditation to tell myself that I love myself. At first it felt sort of phony and ridiculous, but I decided to keep at it, and the results have been amazing. Sometimes I've been in terrible mental states, and the idea of loving myself will come up all by itself. It's brought me to tears at times because the compassion is right there. I've practiced verbalizing I love you to myself, and as a result, those words will just arise. So isn't that beautiful? So a lot of this book, like the solution, is mindfulness and meditation and self-compassion. So it does talk a lot about meditation, which is great because we're here in a meditation app. So, yeah. Can anybody relate to that paragraph and what is being said there? Now the guide continues. The fact that we see it as phony and ridiculous tells us that egocentricity is doing the judging. From a centered place, you would never see loving yourself as phony and ridiculous. Only ego would add those labels. Calling it phony is self-hate. It's ego trying to get you to believe that loving yourself is an experience that you don't know. That's why I like this process of reassuring myself that I do love myself. An example of self-love and acceptance in action could be something like this. Let's say that I've identified that I'm afraid. I could say, I am a brave and courageous person, but that's not going to do any good. Or I could say, it's okay to be afraid, and begin to focus on what this fear is. What is fear? What does it feel like? Where does it happen in my body? What do I say to myself when I'm afraid? Then I may go ahead and do the thing I'm afraid of, and then I can ask, at what point does the fear arise? How does the fear stop me from doing this thing? Excuse me. Can I feel the fear and do it anyway? So you see, there's somewhere to go with it. If it's okay to be afraid, all my options are open. So we'll pause there. Hi, Craig. So to receive the Reiki, if it's in the replay or if it's in the live, just have the intention you want to receive and you will receive that. So basically what this passage is saying, that the student was saying, I'm telling myself I love myself in meditation, and it's working. There will be times when they're upset, when that new programming will come in and they will have a thought of I love myself or whatever. Let's see. And then it said at first it felt phony and ridiculous. So can anybody relate, like with affirmations or with saying, I love myself, and it feels phony, it feels ridiculous? That's us judging ourselves that there's something wrong. So this is so deep and intrinsic. And then that's what the guide said in response. That's what this book calls self-hate. Or you could call it egocentricity, or ego, being self-centered, ego-centered. So when we judge ourselves as, oh, this feels weird, phony, fake, it's not working, that is that old idea and that old energy that there's something wrong. So instead of saying, like, okay, say somebody says, I'm afraid, and then the response could be an affirmation. I'm a courageous and brave person. That may feel inauthentic. So then it gives an alternative to say, it's okay to be afraid. And when we say it's okay, that is that self-compassionate response. And then it opens up an inquiry. Isn't this interesting? What is fear? What does it feel like? Where does it happen in my body? What do I say to myself when I'm afraid? These are all coming from a place of openness, of inquiry, of it's okay to be afraid, of there's nothing wrong. Cream, Karen. Yeah, I mean, how would it feel to just, close the eyes and say, I love you. I love me, however that feels, like whichever one works. Or I love you, Natalie. Or I love myself. I love me. How does that feel? I mean, this is all about reprogramming the subconscious, because this is what the book is predicated upon. Because it's the truth. From 0 to 8 years old, we're programmed. Our minds and our egos are not developed. They develop in those early years. So whatever we hear at that time is what we're programmed with. And if we're programmed with, stop doing this, why did you do that? Be quiet, shut up, stop crying, blah, 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 blah. All of those things, along with the meaner stuff, then of course we think there's something wrong with us. So we get to reprogram ourselves. Nobody can do this for us. So it's about taking a stand for yourself in every moment. And when that, a shame spiral may arise, or when that self-hate, that old energy comes, that's your moment first to be mindful, to see that it's there, and then bring the self-compassion in. If it's okay to be afraid, all my options are open. If there's nothing wrong with being afraid, that just helps relaxation to come. Hi, Serena. The book is called There's Nothing Wrong with You. And if you want a free copy of the PDF, send me a private message. And also right now you can just listen along and take it in. And this is a series I do every week. So continuing the reading. Am I afraid all the time? No. Well, when am I afraid? What exactly am I afraid of? If I'm trying to hide the fear, repress it, not let myself know that I have it, it can become a weapon for self-hate. Because instead of being someone who is afraid of a specific thing, I get labeled by self-hate as a frightened, fearful, whining, needy, cowardly person. But if I'm just afraid of something and that's okay, That non-judgment is an open doorway that I can go through. The acceptance brings me back to myself. I can be still with the fear as it's happening, experiencing it for what it is, and allow it to be healed within that acceptance. So it reminds me of one of my favorite kind of mindset shifts to work with. As I said, I'm a spiritual life coach, so I work with clients with these sorts of things along with many other things. And it's like sometimes, the most basic tool we can work with if somebody's really spun out is like, I'm not okay. Can it be okay that I'm not, can I be okay that I'm not okay right now, period? Or can it be okay that I'm not okay? And that cracks open any of that shit energy of where we're so contracted, we're so stuck in energy and thought and pain body and ego and hell in our mind. Can I be okay that I'm not okay? So this is saying that in a different way. Sovereign, hello, I love your name. Being a 1960s baby, this resonates. Great. So the book continues. Fear is very dramatic. It tells very plausible stories. It makes strong feelings in your body. It's the primary support of egocentricity. It is egocentricity. Ego is fear. And ego is everything it then does to manage, control, and avoid that fear, that experience of itself. That was really deep. Ego is fear. And ego is everything it then does to manage, control, and avoid that fear, that experience of itself. It says, I'll protect you, I'll keep you safe. Ego spends enormous amounts of time and energy pretending to avoid itself. Did that land? And why is ego fear? Because fear is separation. Right. And then ego tries to manage, control, and avoid the fear. So it's just this shit show that happens. So pay attention. Self-hate is slippery. It will even say things to you like, you shouldn't believe the voices of self-hate. If you're still believing them, there really is something wrong with you. So this is what I found when I work with clients around this topic. What happened, I've noticed this with myself. If I work with myself and it's like, okay, I see self-hate, I see ego, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. I notice it always tries to jump to something else. Can anyone relate to that that's, working with themselves in this way? Because basically it's about releasing judgment. We're judging ourselves as wrong. So it's like, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. But what I notice is whatever the topic's about, nothing's coming right now. But it's like, then it goes to here, and then it's so slippery, and then it goes to the next thing. So, yeah, Serena. And it's good, and there's nothing wrong with that. See? Look, I'm even doing it, or the mind is even doing it right now. Ooh, see how slippery this is? I was making that wrong. This is like, it's so deep. There's nothing wrong that it's moving and moving, that it's jumping. Yeah, wow. This is, to me, this is the deepest work you can do. So it's okay that it's slippery. It's okay that it continues to try and latch on. So sometimes in the book there's illustrations and there's like big font. I think it does that because it's about like inner child healing. So it's like kind of like a kid wrote it and draw it. I'm going to show you this. And I'm also going to read it, but this is one of, the illustrations here. And it says, I'm not here to become an acceptable person. I'm here to accept the person I am. I'm not here to become an acceptable person. I'm here to accept the person I am. So what happens when we get on this personal development and spiritual journey is that the mind then makes us a project to be fixed and a problem to be solved. So that's another very slippery, cunning place this goes to. Sure, Kat, I will. So there's some bubbles around the person. I'm going to read those. And it says, I'm not here to become an acceptable person. And so that part saying, find out what's wrong with me, decide how to change myself, set up a program and stick to it, punish myself enough to ensure success. So that is in the paradigm of something is wrong. If we are here to accept the person I am, that's just unconditional love and acceptance, period. Hi, Kim. So the book is called There's Nothing Wrong with You, Going Beyond Self-Hate. And again, if anybody wants this free PDF copy, send me a message. Oh, I don't need to be charging my phone. There's nothing wrong with that. So, I'll pause for a minute. Is everybody here? Anything else? Monica, hi. Nice to see you. Okay, continuing. It may be true. It may be true that you make sacrifices, but that doesn't make you good. It just means you make sacrifices. It may be true that you are accepting, but that doesn't make you good. It just means you are accepting. It may be true that you are responsible, but that doesn't make you good. It just means you are responsible. It may be true that you meditate, but that doesn't make you good. It just means that you meditate. We label these behaviors good and then continue to do them in order to support self-hate. Perhaps doing in order to be good is what keeps you from realizing you're already good. Perhaps doing in order to be good is what keeps you from realizing you're already good. How many of you can relate to that besides me? Oh, if I meditate today, then I feel good. I feel like I'm a good person. Or if I'm label myself as, oh, I'm accepting, I'm responsible, then I'm a good person. But that's about the doing. And so then it's something, a measuring stick. And then if we don't, then we judge ourselves that there's something wrong. It's so profound. If you're ready for this message, then that means you're ready for this message. And it's not a good, bad, right or wrong. Serena needs this book. Great. I mean, I think 99.9% of people do. It's just those who know they need it and those who don't. And not that there's anything wrong with either one. I say this a lot with my clients. It's like, okay, if somebody, like I have a client who goes back and forth with their relationship with coffee. And, you know, I've worked with them a few years and it's been a pattern. And it's like this person just decided to bring coffee back into their life. And, you know, my direction to them was, okay, it's not about the coffee being good or bad. It's about how are you relating to yourself about the coffee. That's more important than if you drink the coffee. Are you going to drink it and make yourself wrong for it and beat yourself up and say you're not good enough and you should stop? Like, if you're going to drink the coffee, you get to make an agreement with yourself that you're not going to do that. That you are going to be in pure alignment and integrity and enjoyment of that coffee. Or don't do it. So, because that's what this book labels as self-hate. So, it may be true that you gossip, but that doesn't make you bad. It just means that you gossip. It may be true that you tell lies, but that doesn't make you bad. It just means you tell lies. It may be true you're impatient, but that doesn't make you bad. It just means you're impatient. It may be true you're sarcastic, but that doesn't make you bad. It just means you are sarcastic. We label these behaviors bad and then continue to do them in order to support self-hate. Believing that what you do determines who you are could be the real reason for continuing the behaviors. Believing that what you do determines who you are could be the real reason for continuing the behaviors. So basically, it was the exact same thing on the other page, just flipping the good with the bad. Right, so Karen, you can either eliminate the creamer or use an alternate, or don't drink it, or come into full acceptance and enjoyment of the creamer. And also, however you show up, there's nothing wrong. It's a lose-lose game with self-hate. If I feel good, I have to pay the price because it's not really okay to feel good. If I feel bad, I have to pay the price because it's not really okay to feel bad. How many can relate to this one? And I love the book because it's like, look, it's just these ideas like that. So the next little chapter, or whatever you want to call it. But I could make a mistake. What is this? But I could make a mistake. Student, I've heard you say that it's not possible to make mistakes. I'm having some difficulty understanding this. Would you say more about it? Guide, whatever it is that I'm doing, if I pay attention to it, I'm going to benefit. I'm going to learn something. Look at your son Evan learning to walk. At what point should he have considered himself a failure and given up? All of the times he pitched over on his head or fell back on his bottom, those were not successful from the definition of walking, yet they were not unsuccessful either. They were just part of the process of learning to walk. If we want to wake up and end our suffering, and if we're paying attention to how we cause ourselves to suffer, we're going to learn from everything that happens. For example, I'm going along in life working diligently towards something, and it doesn't go the way I want it to go. If I'm willing to pay attention, not getting what I want is very helpful. Why didn't I get what I wanted? Why wasn't I in control? What went wrong? Who's to blame? What should I have done differently? Maybe I should try harder. Well, now there's a classroom for you. If you were to see clearly all your conditioned beliefs about getting what you want, control, wrong, blame, should, and trying, you would have a level of clarity that would make your life simple and enjoyable in a way you cannot now even imagine. You would have a level of freedom available to you that you would never find if everything went the way you want it to for the rest of your life. So I have an example that came up for me there, that I had this amazing experience planned, and I had the experience, and it was amazing in a lot of ways, and it also was very challenging in a lot of ways. And what my mind ended up doing at the end of it was it made up a story that I didn't do it good enough, I didn't do it right, I failed, and I regretted how it ended up, and I wish I would have done it different or better. So there was a lot of shit in there, and basically what that was just saying. And the good news is I noticed it first. You know, the old me, I would have just been all those reactions and stories. I wouldn't have been able to have any witness mindset about it, but I was able to see, wow, look at all of this. Now, I wasn't to a place where I was able to totally separate from the energies of that, but at least there was a level of awareness and a separation where I could see I was making myself wrong, and that I was judging and it's not good enough, and that it didn't go the way I wanted, and all of these beliefs and stories and judgments. I could see that. That was a huge victory. So what this is saying is, okay, it didn't turn out the way my mind thought it should. There's gifts in that too. And so that's what it was just saying. You know, if we were to wake up from the conditioning, if we were to not believe it and buy into it, what levels of peace and freedom would we have? That this is all here to help us, as I always say. Awesome, Lori. Hi, Sunset. Yeah, when someone hurts you and criticizes you, and that hurts. So actually, Sunset, the book Conversations with God, and even the very last live stream that I did with that book directly addresses what you're saying. So what I would recommend is I can send you the link to that, or I might even have the pages I could send you pictures of, or if you have the book. But that's where I would direct you to that, because it's relevant, and also it's, dealing with reactions and feelings that come up, and pain and hurt based on what other people do. There's a lot within that. So for the purposes of this discussion, we're more looking at how to not make ourselves wrong. Say somebody hurts you, criticizes you. How do we not make ourselves wrong for that? And it's interesting too that you bring that up, because I'm in a situation here in this house right now I just moved into. It's not working, and yeah, I don't know how deep I want to get into this story about it, but basically it's not soundproofed. And the other night I was talking to my sister, and I was very loud because I just didn't know. And the neighbor, complained, and in a fine way. There was nothing wrong with them voicing their preference that it was late and I was too loud. I didn't know, and it was fine. But even though they were very conscious and loving and neutral in sharing this information with me, there still was that part that was like, oh my God, I did something bad. I'm wrong. Oh my God, I made somebody mad. They're upset. There's, this whole situation now because I shouldn't have been talking to, and I talked to, just this whole thing, right? But again, the good news was that I could see it as it occurred. There was space, and I saw the pattern. And then I had new thoughts. This is what's so fucking powerful. It's proof we can reprogram these deep-seated beliefs and stories and paradigms, because I saw that. That was the first old energy reaction. Right behind it was the awareness. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not bad. There's nothing wrong. This is just a situation. But that wounded child part came out, and that's what happens. But there was something else behind it. And that's what we get to celebrate, is these small victories that are very big. Because, okay, catch me in, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years, whatever length of time, I know there will be less of a charge. And, the master, the person with self-mastery, will notice that and not have any engagement or charge with that at all. And that's, I'm not there yet. So, and yeah, so it was, and then the mind makes up the stories. Why is this happening? Why is this situation this way? Well, and it's like, okay, there's something here for me when we are on this spiritual path and on this spiritual journey, and this everything. And it's not that I need fixed. It's about, I want freedom. I want self-mastery. So the world is giving me experiences. I mean, really, in the scheme of things, this is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. You know, the walls are thin. There was a complaint from a very, like, conscious being, you know. Everybody's is very conscious. Nobody is blaming and shaming. But that old voice wants to do that to myself, and I see it, and I'm not buying into it. This is very low-hanging fruit, as Michael Singer would say. So, hi Blossom Violet, haven't seen you in a while. Elena as well, haven't seen you. Glad to see you. Thank you, Dawn. Yeah, and you know, the thing is, Serena, about the thoughts getting sticky. Yeah, I mean, and Michael Singer says this, and Eckhart Tolle, I mean, most teachers, it's like, you want to catch this in the beginning, and thank God for awareness, and thank God for presence and mindfulness and meditation and all of the practices. Because, yeah, and it was challenging to deal with that energy. I'm not saying it wasn't, and it's still not even complete. I'm still in, you know, a process with whatever's unfolding here. And there is still a level of, you know, there's not peace. And there's nothing wrong with me for that, right? But just the fact that I caught it, I saw it as it happened. I did my best to be like, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. It's okay. To catch that stuff in the beginning is so much easier than, you know, after a day of rumination and obsession and like, oh my God, blah, and then try and, oh my God, I'm making myself wrong, which is okay, but I'm just saying it's easier when you notice and you can work with the energy before it builds. And there's nothing wrong with either way. It's just more of a challenge. So yeah. And I actually had a moment with Michael Singer today on YouTube, because I listen to him often because his messages are so valuable to reprogram the conditioning. And this situation is, you know, up in my field right now. And I noticed I was really attached to having a certain outcome here. And I was feeling like, oh, I hope, you know, blah, blah, blah. I hope this happens. And, oh, you know, I just, you know, I come from being codependent, people pleasing, blah, blah, blah. So it's very much out of my comfort zone to be, to make waves, I guess you could say, to advocate for myself. And still I'm doing it, and I have a preference how I want things to turn out. I'm human. And what I noticed was like, oh, I felt this attachment energy, and it wasn't peaceful. I was suffering. And I was listening to Singer while I was driving. I don't even know what he said, but I was like, oh my God, I haven't surrendered this at all. I'm totally clinging and resisting in this situation. Wow, what if I just let it go? I've made my preferences known. There's nothing else I can do. There's nothing else for me to do but surrender and let go. And the moment I had that realization, it was just like, whoosh, just peace. Like, wow, okay. And so it was interesting because even with this whatever level of awareness that I have, I wasn't aware that I wasn't surrendering until I was. And what a miracle, what a shift in perception that was. So thank you, Lori. Hi, J.E. Yes, and catch the replay, please. So I'm going to continue reading a little bit longer and then we'll end. Failure, making mistakes. The person who is agonizing over, should I take that job in Hoboken, as if transportation only goes in one direction. If you take the job and that's not where you want to be, you're doomed to stay there forever. It's not possible to say, oh, I don't like Hoboken, and leave. It becomes life and death, all or nothing, with failure and making mistakes. And even that example I just shared, it feels like so big. And then I had that awareness, like, this is nothing in the scheme of things. This is a blip on the radar. And then the book continues. This reminds me of early Ram Dass with questions like, should I cut my hair? Should I lose my virginity? Should I read Meher Baba? For us, I suppose it would be, should I read Rajneesh, whoever that is? And of course the answer is, risk it. But the attitude of mind that is so focused on this sort of thing has already failed. If you're afraid of making a mistake, you've already made it. You're already in as bad a place as you can be. Everything after that is getting out. So that's really deep. If you're afraid of making a mistake, you've already made it. You're already in as bad a place as you can be in. Everything after that is getting out. Hi, Lisa. So the replays are on my YouTube channel. I have to process and put them up. So subscribe there. And I'm going to go ahead and yeah, it gets a bit juicy and I am getting a bit tired. So it's dinner time, and so I'm gonna stop there for today. I may next time go back a page or two and reorient into the topic. So everywhere that you can find me on any platform, Serena is my name, Natalie Speakman. Mostly I have my middle initial M in there because when I first made my website, like a long time ago, Natalie Speakman was taken, so I put Natalie M Speakman. So a lot of my stuff is that, but yeah, you can find me. So yeah, this was amazing. And I'd love your feedback too. Awesome Sovereign. I'm getting a read on preference if you prefer me reading or prefer listening to the author in the audio, kind of like an audio book. So if you have a preference. And we will go from there. So I'm live again for Ancestral Clearing tomorrow. Oh, actually in like 12 hours. In exactly 12 hours. So in exactly 12 hours. No. 14 hours. 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. So you're tonight. Awesome. Thank you, Deb. Friendly pause. Hi, Gary. So yeah, 14 hours I'll be live. We'll be doing powerful ancestral clearing. We're going to talk about somatics in the body because a lot of the way I do this specific ancestral clearing is we go into the body. And so I do a lot of like framing and setting up the stage for doing the clearing because we want to go into the body when we do this. And it's very powerful work. So usually in my Reiki and ancestral clearing sessions, I do the ancestral clearing prayers. And this is going to be what I call interactive. And this is what I do in my one-on-one sessions. So we'll be going deeper into the body in a back and forth process. So, and then I'll be doing Saturday Night Live. So don't forget to follow me here and everywhere. Give a donation. That's really appreciated if you'd like. Yeah, and you can check me out, reach out, if you feel called to work with me one-on-one in whatever way that looks like. And I also have the group program starting June 1st on Money Mindset Mastery. So those are all the ways. And I will see you all very soon. So thank you. This was great as usual. Really appreciate you all, Insight Timer, myself, David, thank you, Blossom Violet, Serena, and have a wonderful day.